Hello, everybody. Welcome to this video. This is the video for Module 33 for Business Math and Calculators. We are going to be talking about how to calculate net pay in this video. In the previous video, we talked about gross pay. Net pay is what you actually take home after things like taxes and Social Security and other deductions are taken out of your paycheck. So your gross pay is how much you actually earn. The net pay is what you actually bring home. So we're going to look at a couple of examples involving calculating your net pay, and as well as some other situations that employers deal with when they are looking at various things associated with payroll, taxes, and things that they have to do on their end as business owners. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will go ahead and get started with our examples. All right, so calculating net pay. Let's go ahead and jump into the first problem. In this situation, what we are going to do is we are simply going to calculate net pay based on a series of deductions. So in our problem, Caleb is a teacher. His gross pay for the last period was $2,900. So since Caleb's a teacher, he's likely getting paid on a salary model, so he gets a certain yearly salary that's divided equally among the number of pay periods. So, so every pay period, Caleb gets the $2,900 in gross pay. Now what we have to do is figure out what his net pay is by taking off or subtracting the various deductions that have to be accounted for. So in the table that you see here are several common things that are deducted from a paycheck. The first one is Social Security. That is a deduction that everybody has to pay into the government, and that helps support the Social Security system, and it also helps when it comes time for you to retire and you reach the age where you can get Social Security. Then the amount that you pay in determines how much you get, like I said, when you're retired and bringing Social Security in. So Social Security, Medicare kind of works the same way. When you reach the appropriate age and you can get Medicare, that is provided to you by the government. So by working and paying into that, you're not only supporting the system now, for those people that are currently on Medicare, but you are getting ready and contributing to when you are ready to receive Medicare at the appropriate age. Okay. FIT is federal income tax, so that's the income tax that you are paying in. SIT is the state income tax that you have to pay. So those are your main taxes. Now, these other deductions may or may not apply depending on your situation. A lot of places, you know, if you get benefits, you're going to get health care, and depending on the policies that your company has established for premiums, you might have to pay health care premiums. A lot of times if you are getting like a family type of situation where you have a spouse or you have kids, a lot of times you have to pay additional to get that coverage for your family. It just kind of depends again on what's been negotiated by your company and how they set things up. So in this case, Caleb has some healthcare premiums that are being deducted from his paycheck. Many teachers are part of a teacher union, so there might be dues that are deducted from each paycheck that go towards the union that you may be a part of, you know, to cover their costs and things like that. So again, what I try to illustrate in this example are just some of the possibilities of things that might be deducted. There may be additional things. Maybe some of these things don't necessarily appear depending on your situation, but that just gives you a context for the situation. Regardless of which things are deducted or are not, the process for calculating your net pay, though, is still the same. What you're going to need to do is to calculate your net pay. First, figure out what your total amount of the deductions are or is. So we're going to add up everything in our chart here. So we end up with $1,054.20. Okay? This is the amount that's actually going to be subtracted from the gross pay. So when we do that subtraction, we end up with $1,845.80. This is Caleb's net pay. This is the amount of the check that he actually gets when he receives either the paper check or if it's direct deposited into his account. This is how much he takes home. And so there you go. That is the net pay. So his gross pay was $2,900, but what he actually saw in his paycheck when he brought it home was $1,845.80. Okay. So figure out what your deductions are, subtract those deductions from the net pay, and that will, or from the gross pay, excuse me, and that will give you the net pay that you receive. All right, let's shift gears here a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about how the amounts of different deductions are calculated. In particular, we're going to look at Social Security and Medicare. Social Security, everybody pays Social Security. Everybody has to pay for Medicare. That's just one of the rules of the country that we live in. What you need to know about this is the rate for Social Security is set by the federal government, and it's been pretty consistent and usually stays about the same from year to year. The rate for Social Security is 6.2%. So when they go to figure out how much Social Security they're going to take from your account, we're going to take 6.2% of your gross pay. Okay? Medicare, the rate is 1.45%. So again, the same kind of procedure, they're going to take 1.45% of your gross pay, and that determines how much they're going to take out of your paycheck to put towards Medicare. Now, let's start with Social Security to calculate how much they're going to deduct. It's a straight multiplication problem. The only catch is make sure that you convert the percent into a decimal. And again, be careful, 6.2%, you got to move the decimal point 2 spaces to the left. So we're going to multiply 0.062 times the gross pay, which is $2,080. So in this situation, $128.96 is what's going to be deducted from the person's paycheck, okay? For Medicare, same procedure. The only difference is this time our percentage is the 1.45%. So again, make sure you move the decimal point exactly 2 spaces. So 0.145 times 2,080 gets you $30.16. And so that's how much is deducted from the gross pay to go towards Medicare. And there you go. That's what we were looking for in our problem. We just wanted to figure out how much would be deducted from this person's gross pay. Like I said, it's a straight multiplication problem where you do the percentage of the gross pay for each of these, and you're good to go. All right, let's look at one more example. And again, we're going to shift gears one more time. If you are a business owner, one of the things that you have to do as a business owner is you have to pay what's called an unemployment tax, okay? And there are 2 of those. There's one at the federal level, so the federal unemployment tax, which is referred to as FUTA, F-U-T-A, and then there's state unemployment tax, SUTA, S-U-T-A, all right? And generally what happens is this tax is paid on a quarterly basis. So based on the amount of income that your employees bring in, that's how we calculate how much you would have to pay to the federal government or to the state government in unemployment tax, okay? So in this situation, James is the business owner. One of his employees is earning $500 per week. So we kept the numbers fairly simple just for the purpose of illustrating how you calculate it. So what we need to do first is we have to figure out how much James paid out in wages to his employees. Okay, so in this particular case, the employee made $500 per week. A quarter consists of 13 weeks. Okay? So we're going to multiply. So 500 times 13 is $6,500. So that's how much gross pay James paid to this particular employee. So now to figure out FUTA, the federal unemployment tax, what we're going to do is we're going to take the percent times the gross pay. Okay, so again, 0.6%, make sure you're careful that you move the decimal point 2 spaces to the right. So we're going to multiply 6,500 times 0.006, and we get an answer of $39. So that's how much James has to pay to the federal government to cover unemployment tax. Okay. The same process works for the state unemployment tax. The only difference is the rate is different. It's 6.9%. So we're going to take the 6,500 times 0.069. So it's a higher amount that he pays towards the state. In this case, $448.50. Now, again, the whole purpose of this as an employer is if somebody, becomes unemployed, they can get benefits for being unemployed that pays them a certain amount per week. So these taxes that the businesses are paying are helping to contribute to that fund to help people that are unemployed. And as we all know, given the times that we're living in with the COVID crisis, a lot of people are having to deal with that situation. And so it's good that that system is in place to help support people that, like I said, lose their job, especially if they lose their job through no fault of their own. It's a safety net for those folks. They can continue to pay their bills and put food on the table and things like that. So long story short, to calculate unemployment tax, you simply take the rate times the gross pay, the wages that are paid out, and then that's the amount that gets paid into the federal and to the state government. All right, so there you go. Those are some examples dealing with net pay and deductions based on the earnings that somebody brings in. So again, we kind of did 3 different types of situations. We looked at just calculating net pay for an employee by subtracting out the deductions. We looked at some of the behind the scenes calculations that go into actually calculating what some of those deductions are, particularly Social Security and Medicare. And then we also looked at the unemployment tax and what employers have to pay into the state and federal government to help support the unemployment program. Hopefully these examples were helpful. If you have any questions on things, please be sure to let me know. I'm always happy to help. Otherwise, thank you for watching this video. I hope it was useful, and I will see you in the next video.